Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Business Over Breakfast. My name is Ben Barber.
My name is Lori Chittari. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Lori. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. I love the spring. I got to tell you that.
Me too.
I feel it. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah. So good.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah. So
how
what are
have
we
you
talking
been?
about today?
How have you been?
I have been really good. I have to say, with the spring, I feel completely different. I feel awake. I feel like things are opening up. I mean, like probably everybody, but
Not everybody. I hate the spring.
no, that's not true.
It's not true.
It just isn't possible.
No.
I feel good. Work is good. We're doing a lot of cool stuff on Shop Local. I can't wait till that gets rolled out. But yeah, I see the world coming back to whatever it's supposed to come back to.
Yeah.
I can't say normal. I can't say new normal. Not happening.
So that's what we're talking about today. Actually, we are talking about the state of small business right now as we are trying to get back to normal.
Yeah.
And trying, I think, is the optimal word there, because, you know, when we're recording this yesterday, Philadelphia just reinstated indoor mask mandates because of the current rise in cases again. And you look at, just what's happening overseas in different areas, and you don't know what's coming next and what. And
well,
all
and
of
I also read in the New York Times this morning the numbers are going up in this area. So it's like, what? I think we're tiptoeing. We
are. Yep, absolutely. We're tiptoeing, and it's going to be steps forward, steps back, and I don't want to make light of that either. As you know, like the last thing that I would ever want to do is make light of COVID. But people are trying to get back to normal, and while the some things are improving, some things get worse, and we just have to. But it's trying to get back to what you just said, right? This new normal. What does that look like? What does trying to get back to normal look like for small businesses?
I think that we talk to small businesses, you and I, every day, all day. And it's so interesting because we don't have any like solidified studies around what's happening. But I mean, from my perspective, I see what's happening. And I mean, if I was a reporter, I would just say, okay, the things that I see are people don't really want to go back to an office. They realize that they don't need to sit in an office and be on Zoom all day because they did that at home, and they could get their laundry done at the same time. And people are capable of like being able to be productive in work and get other things done at the same time, and not like doing everything you need to do in the evening or on a Saturday or Sunday. So I definitely see that. I see so that would be like one point. And then the other thing I see is this idea of being lonely and, wanting, and this group of people wanting to be with other people, to have that engagement, to get back to the office. And so, one of the things that I always go back to, and this was years, at least a decade ago, I used to work with analysts, and I think we've talked about this before. There was an analyst. Every time I tell this story, I think that I need to find this guy and just see what he thinks. He lives in South Carolina somewhere. And he was really great. We became good friends. But his idea around the study that he did in the workplace environment was that eventually, with technology, this workplace wouldn't really exist in the way it is now, and that everybody would go and do what they needed to do from a technology perspective and swarm together like bees into a location for a period of time and exchange ideas and kind of get your fill of feedback, and this is what I'm working on, and how does that relate to where our business wants to be. And then everybody goes back, and whether that's once a month, once a quarter, once a year, I think that that concept seems like it could be a long-term balance for what I see in the office space workplace.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Um, I think that, the office space situation really becomes a matter of, um, what management wants, what ownership wants, and then what the people will take, right? Because
Yeah,
if the people don't want to go back in, you're not going to get people. You're going to get people leaving their jobs, as we've seen with the Great Resignation. You're going to get people not taking the jobs that aren't remote, and there are so many opportunities out there right now for people
yeah,
that they don't necessarily need to take the jobs that don't fit the
yeah,
categories that align with what they want out of their life now, right? And another
yeah,
thing about getting back to normal is that people have had 2 years of deciding what they want with their life, right?
right.
Like, and a lot of stuff has happened in 2 years,
Yeah.
you know?
Some of the meetings that I'm on, well, one meeting I was on for Providence Chamber was talking about what's the thing that what's one of the great things that have come out of all of this in the last 2 years. And I have to say, I was so happily surprised. So this is a little stereotypical, but I was happily surprised that most of the men really felt like one of the best things that came out was their time and opportunity to be with their kids. And it just really made me, I think this great resignation, I look at it more of an awakening, like the great awakening. We've all realized, like, oh shit, I can get my work done in 5 hours instead of sitting here for 8, and
Yep.
I can get paid the same. And let's make it about deliverables and not about punching a clock.
I mean, that's the thing for everybody, right? Like for everyone, when you're able to transfer, so freelancers, if you're out there, freelancers and people that own their own business and all of
Mhm.
those things, when you can get away from trading time for money, you have the ability to make more money because you can't make more time.
Right.
So if you can focus on deliverables, and you can find jobs that focus on your deliverables, then you have the ability to make more money. And because you otherwise, it's a one-to-one trade, time for
Yeah,
money, and it doesn't. Sometimes you have quotas and stuff, but it doesn't really matter. Like then you're just trying to do the quota. You're just trying to do the thing that takes that amount of time so that
exactly.
you can do the
And then
thing.
the better you get, the faster you can get that thing done.
Yep.
And the more you learn, the higher quality. I mean, you're right. It needs to be project based. Like, I'm getting hired for this thing. What am I delivering for that? I mean,
Right.
I worked with a company yesterday saying you need to make a list of all the things you love to do and all the things you just want to ditch. And then you realize, like, oh wow, 4 people in our organization all want to ditch the same stuff.
Hmm.
Let's just outsource it to someone who loves to do that thing and get it out of here. And then that person is the expert and loving what they do and saying, yeah, oh, I'll do that.
Yep.
I mean, I,
Exactly.
I think that this whole thing is going to start shaking out a little bit. But when we think back to those, Main Street stores where we really need that activity, we really need people walking in the door. Um, that's a little bit different. Maybe that's another show.
Absolutely. And there's always going to be jobs that are time versus time equals money, and that is what that is, right?
Yeah,
But there are things that it's a different situation, and that's one of the reasons why it's so hard for some of those brick and mortar stores to find employees now,
yeah,
because so many people have moved to this mindset of the gig economy, of looking for the best opportunity because there's a better opportunity
yeah,
out there,
yeah.
you know not wanting to, maybe they have maybe they're fine, but they have an immunocompromised loved one or an
I
elderly
know.
loved one that they live with, and they don't want to be at a store all
That's what I
day.
was just thinking. Like, though, they're they can't get the employees, but also those employees are so exposed. And
Yeah.
so you
Yep.
have to consider the fact that I was in somewhere the other day, and maybe a restaurant or a coffee shop or something, and I thought, God, I just wish they'd like keep the door open, just to, so there wouldn't be all these people. So even that like kind of internal angst about like being in groups of people that you don't know, and I don't want to say can't trust, but like you just don't
You
know.
just don't know.
Right.
You just don't
So
know.
yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, I don't think if things didn't close down, this is a talking about a new normal and what comes next, right? And the rise of BA.2 right now, and all of these things that are leaving us uncertain for what comes next, as far as if there's going to be a surge soon, like we've seen in Europe and elsewhere,
What do you think?
or
What do you personally think?
I don't think that businesses are. I think that mask mandates could come back at some point. Obviously, I think that that's a public health concern, and that's and you have to follow the science on that as much as as much as they do.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: not everything is about the science, as you know, and that's not necessarily the way that you think that it is.
Yeah.
Um, like sometimes it's about politics, sometimes it's about what's best for the business, sometimes it's about not crushing the economy, and what is a relative risk.
It is
And
public
but
health
I
doesn't
think
come
personally
first.
that what'd you say?
I said it is kind of funny that public health doesn't come first.
It doesn't actually
Usually
come
it
first,
should,
right?
but
Like it
yeah,
doesn't, yeah, it doesn't actually come first. And by that, I'm not saying that the people that make decisions are cold-hearted and
right,
only
right.
look at whatever, right? Like there's a lot. I don't want to make these decisions. I don't want to be the person in charge of making
Yeah,
these
yeah,
decisions. They're insanely hard, right? Like, okay, what do we do? Like, personally, I want everyone to be safe and whatever, right? I
right,
also don't want every small business in the world to go under.
yeah,
Um,
right.
and it's
Oh, I
because
have
how
a
do people
solution for that.
what yeah, because how do people feed their families and whatnot?
Yeah,
Um, but I think like mitigation efforts, mask mandates, those things could come back at some point in the future. I'm not saying now. I'm not saying this wave. It might be next winter. It might
mhm,
be. By the way, personally, and this is not something that is business related at all. Uh, I if COVID went away tomorrow, in my mind, I'd still be like, January, February, I'm wearing a mask.
yeah,
I'm gonna wear. It's just become normalized to be able to wear a mask now. I don't want
right,
to get. I haven't had a bad cold in 2 years. Like I don't
yeah.
want to knock on wood.
Well, and
I don't
even the
want to.
flu numbers, like nobody got the flu because everybody was wearing a mask.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I was in San Francisco. Sorry, in San
No.
Francisco last week, coming back last week from San Fran, and there was a guy behind me coughing. And I'm thinking, oh, thank God we all have masks on right now, because in the pre-world, BC, um, that wouldn't have happened, and I would have been like, oh God, I don't want to get sick. And so in the world of like the travel business world, I mean, it's kind of the joke, like, oh, you're just going to get sick if you get on a plane, so just, you know but I kind of like the masks.
I like them. Yeah.
They make my nose itch though.
Well, that means people are talking about you, right? I I think like yeah, personally, I mean, I don't think that shutdowns are coming. I don't think that you're going to see a situation
Yeah,
again with the American public like March 2020 to April 2020. Like that's not going to happen again.
yeah,
Because it can't. People would not allow that to happen.
yeah,
It would be terrible, all of
yeah,
those things. But mask mandates do affect some things as far as consumer confidence go and all of those things, and I completely understand that. And
hmm
it's a balancing act, right? And I think that we're going to be in this balancing act for a while, and that's
Yeah.
scary because it's unpredictable. And like the you know I cringe anytime someone says post pandemic,
Mm.
that we in a present tense, because we're not.
That's
And
amazing. I haven't heard that once.
I have heard people say that we are post pandemic on a daily basis.
Wow.
And I think that in some ways we're moving past where we were. But
Mm-hmm.
you know Omicron literally, like the peaks went from like here, which we were all like, oh my god, that's so high, to like
Yeah. Yeah.
here, right? And by the way, like, and more people died during the Omicron wave than at any time during any other wave, even though more people were boosted, just because the numbers, right? Like if that many
Yeah.
more people are affected, more people are going to die, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But businesses did not shut down during that. So there
Right.
is like, so public health aside,
Mm-hmm.
there is hope that you're not going to get completely crushed as a business anymore
Yeah.
from this,
Yeah.
within reason. And I
Yeah.
think that that's a new normal that is a little bit more hopeful regardless of the changes. Now hopefully, you know things continue to happen, variants hopefully become less
Mhm.
virulent,
Yeah.
um all of those
And I
things, like
think
hopefully that happens. But as a business, you have to keep moving forward,
right, right.
unfortunately.
The thing that comes to mind when you say that is this quote by Maya Angelou, when you know better, you do better. And we have a lot more information now about what works in our business, what the flow would look like in a small business, and when the customers and the employees feel safe, and what does that look like. And I really do think every business, they're private, they get to make the rules about who comes in and who they work with, and who they, it's and I think we're all learning a lot about the way this moves forward. But I do think, we know that when people make decisions about going out or not going out, like we can't judge on any of it, because you don't know, we
No.
just don't know.
Yep.
And so when someone sees someone with a mask on, here's a story I heard last week, and I know we're going to close it out, but
Fine.
this idea of saying everyone that enters this business must be vaccinated, and having a person enter the business to argue that point, that just shouldn't happen. That is just like, you make your decisions, I make my decisions, my business is going the way I'm running my business, the way I want to run my business, and you get the choice of entering or not. And I think that this type of argument needs to really just go away.
You
Maybe
don't
that's a political
know.
statement, but
You don't know, like, to go into, because you hear stories, right? And you've experienced it, where people argue with like small shop owners about the fact that they have a sign that says like must be vaccinated, must have mask, no exceptions, right? And like, everybody has an opinion on that and whatever. Like that store owner might be a cancer patient or
right,
survivor, or who's doing
or
their
have a
best and
transplant,
trying to
or
have a
yeah,
transplant. And when you have a transplant, you are completely immunocompromised forever. You
forever and
literally
ever.
take you literally take immunosuppressant drugs so that your body doesn't reject the organ. Like there are things that are different for
Yeah,
every person, and you have to
yeah.
be like loving and kind and patient with one another.
Right, and it's
And
nobody's damn business, like,
exactly.
what's your reasoning behind it? That's kind of like saying, "What's my reasoning behind choosing this sweater?" You know?
Yeah.
Who knows? Nobody asks me that.
No, and it's and while it is like that, it's also extremely more personal, right? Which
Yeah,
is the real, so like just respecting other people,
Yeah.
and doing that and respecting each other's boundaries and doing all of those things is so important.
I,
But yeah, go ahead.
no, I was thinking that's kind of our our word of the day, you know, RESPECT, find out what it means. But you know, it
Stop singing or we're gonna have to pay for that.
oh,
I'm kidding.
but it's so much fun. But you know, this idea of when you know better, you learn better. You must just, you know, this is like kindergarten, right? It's the golden rule. Treat other people the way you'd want to be treated. Be like, get back to basics. Be, you know, be a human being in this world. And period, period. I mean,
Yep.
we operate our businesses that way. So let's make that the end of our show.
Yes, I agree. I think that, you know, the new normal is going to look like what it's going to look like. Um, and we don't know, and it's actually it's not necessarily a scary time. For some people it is, though. For some people it's a really scary time, for other people it's a really uncertain time, and the only thing that we can be certain about is being kind and good to one another, in our businesses, in our lives, to our family, to our
Yeah.
friends.
And that everybody learns how to care for themselves. And that
Yep.
needs to be accepted.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. For
Lori,
sure.
Lori, this episode took a turn that I did not think that it would. And by the way, a one way Lori mentioned it earlier to add some certainty in uncertain times is to start selling your products online. So check out
Yes,
shoplocalrhodeisland.com.
for sure.
There's a whole new marketplace that's coming soon as well, but the current one is not, it's in great shape as it is, but it's going to get even better soon.
Oh
So
man.
get
Let's do a
your
show on just talking about that because
I
that
can't wait.
is, oh my God. I'm so
I
excited. I'm holding back.
I can't wait. All right, guys. So check out shoplocalrhodeisland.com. The description, the links for all of that stuff are in the show notes. Thank you guys. And Lori, I'll see you next week.
All right. See you later. Bye, everyone.